All right. Hello. My name is Chris Ford. This is my project one for advanced server-side languages. Um, my project, our group project, we did a music streaming website. Um, our name is JAC Music, and we use Ruby on Rails. We use Foundation, and we use the jQuery and JavaScript to get this application fully functional. Um, I'm going to go over my PRD, um, what exactly we said we are going to do the first week, um, and then what we actually completed during the second week. So, as I said, our application was a free music streaming application. Our twist on it was that we're going to be able to have playlists uh, that you can add songs to and save and be able to play. Unfortunately, because of copyright issues, we did not create the new playlist add to playlist feature. Um, you can go to the SoundClouds page by clicking like or share on one of these sounds or music songs, and then be able to add it to a playlist from there. Uh, and then in turn, if you come back to our site, you can see the song you added to the playlist on our site. So it's a kind of a twist off of what we said we were going to do, but it still technically works. We said by the end of week one, we were going to have CRUD, being able to add songs to your library and playlists. At the end of week one, we did not have this working. We did have the MVC and the SoundCloud API working, and we did not have the responsive design using Foundation working the first week. We focused mostly on Ruby on Rails and getting the SoundCloud API to work with the correct calls and authenticating the user and stuff like that. Luckily for us, when week two started, we didn't have to worry about the Facebook API because it was built into SoundCloud's login along with Google+. So that was a really nice coincidence that happened for us. In the middle of week two, we really got going with the API. We started getting all the polls, API calls working on the page, being able to search, get the trending music. It all worked, and it didn't look very nice because we were just getting the API calls working. But after that, once we got everything structured the way we wanted it to look, we went on to the design, the CSS of the website, and we used Foundation as our framework. In my opinion, it looks very similar to the PRD. Yeah, almost identical actually, and I was very impressed with the team's ability to almost identically match what the PRD was looking like. So I will go through the application. Notice that we are on the home page. You can search for songs, easy as that, and you'll get the top trending music. Oh, excuse me. There we go. So you can see search results and all the songs have popped up. There's a limit, I think, of 20 or 15, I believe. Yeah, I believe 20. So you can search songs and listen to it when you're not logged in. And all these comments are in the widget. You can like or purchase on iTunes or share. We'll go to login now, because it's not me. Log in with my credentials. Oh, my bad. There, perfect. So, then log back in. I come back to the home page, the redirect URI, bring me back here. The search functionality still works. And there we go. Looks nice. It still works. Yep. Alright. So, Now I can go to the Me section because I am logged in. I can go to Profile, Playlists, or Favorites, and start off by going to Profile. Here is a profile page where you'll be able to edit your profile and update it to SoundCloud, and it will change on the SoundCloud website. Um, I'll show you a demonstration of this. There, hello there, perfect. So this page is pretty basic. We could add a lot more styling to it if the client that hired us wanted it to look better. If we had more time and we wanted to implement this website on the web, I would definitely spend more time on this page, making it look nicer and probably adding some ads in here so that I can get some revenue. We'll go over to the playlist section. These are all my playlists that I have connected to SoundCloud, and it's fairly cool being able to just play my whole SoundCloud playlist straight from here. It's a quiet song. Anyway, so that's the playlist section. This is my favorites section, and these are all my favorites that I've liked on SoundCloud. I think I get 20 results, and it's a pretty basic page, but it does what it's supposed to do and plays a song, and these are all songs that I've liked. So if I went to the SoundCloud page and I actually liked my own music, or liked someone else's music or my own music, it would show up here. So yeah, it goes with the 3-second look of me, show you the home page again, everything works, looks really nice, and then the log out feature. Notice that log out and the home page. So yeah, I guess I'll go over the code now. Start out with simple CSS. This is everything. Me and Jacob did a lot of the CSS because of all the getting the API working. We all split up the task very evenly. The first week, we were all diving into Ruby on Rails very intensely. We all created at least 10 different apps for each person. We were trying to get it all work with the correct scaffolding, the correct databases, all that stuff, getting the gem file to work, but we did run into a bunch of small problems that we couldn't overcome, so we just restarted. When it's not necessarily a bad thing. We definitely learned a lot in the process. Definitely Ruby on Rails is something I have a better understanding in now that I've done so much of it. After we got the correct pages and controllers and models and views set up for the Ruby on Rails framework, we did start the API, the SoundCloud API. We got it working. That was a task and a half. We all worked on it, spending a long time looking at the documentation for the API. Aldo did do quite a bit of the connecting of the API. He did help us out quite a bit, but I was there over his shoulder with Jacob, watching him do it the whole way. We were there trying to get this all to work, and it was a very good learning experience. I definitely think I learned a lot. The SoundCloud API was something that was really interesting, but quite difficult to comprehend. But now at the end of the month or end of the week, I definitely feel like I have a pretty good understanding of SoundCloud API and how I'm going to do it. How I'm going to implement the next API for the next week. So yeah, I just ran through all my pages real quick, give you a good idea of how it's structured, how it's laid out. It's a pretty good coded website. It's very intriguing. Excuse me. This playlist.each was quite hard to get working. Aldo and I spent many hours, 2 to 3 hours, trying to get this structure correct so that the iframe would show the playlists using an iframe tag. So after we got most of that working and the SoundCloud API calls were authenticated and we were able to pull data, it was quite easy pulling it to the specific page, adding some styling onto the iframe, and making it look nice. after the API, it was pretty easy implementing foundation, the foundation, adding in div classes with rows and columns. Um, Definitely a good refresher on the foundation framework for CSS, and definitely an overall great experience. Um, we did not use the colors that actually, yeah, we did somewhat, but yeah, actually, we used the colors from our design template, and we did use the same typography and the same logo in the buttons as well. So yeah, that was my JAC music app application with Jacob and Aldo, and yeah, it was a great experience. So thank you very much for listening, and have a good night.